What is the bare minimum that we need? And I don't want to live a bare minimum life. And I don't want to be with a bare minimum bum. Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. I hope that you are all doing well. On Saturday I celebrated my 27th birthday. Your girl is 27, baby. And I wanted to come and share 7 life lessons that I have learned from my 20s so far. I pray that as I share these, it imparts some wisdom onto you if you are navigating your 20s or if you're in your teens. And I also want to hear what you have to say. What are some of the major life lessons you feel like you have learned and need to continue to know for your 20s? Comment down below. But no long ting, let's get straight into it. Also, I'm using natural lighting to film, by the way, today. So if the lighting is fluctuating, it's because London is acting like it's not spring. The first major lesson is believe God the first time. Now, let me unpack this for a bit. I feel like throughout my 20s and throughout my life so far, actually, I have heard God say different things to me and try to take me in different directions, try to get me to do different things with my career, with my life, make different choices. And because they seem contrary to what I thought was right in my own wisdom or according to my own knowledge, I decided I was going to, dilly-dally a little bit in my obedience, or maybe even because of fear. I feel like fear has held me back a lot from obeying God, as well as insecurity. There have been a lot of times I felt like God has told me something and I've been like, this cannot be right because this seems completely contrary to everything I've ever known, or why would you choose me, or God, that seems really risky, that seems really scary. And I would spend weeks, months, sometimes even years delaying on my obedience or delaying in just saying yes to God and being fully committed to it. Sometimes even to the point where it was too late. And so I'd say the first life lesson for my 20s that has really stuck out is believe God the first time. Like when he says do something, of course, go away, pray, seek counsel, really, ask God, what's this all about? Because this feels quite contrarian, But once you've done all of that, just believe him. Like, believe more in God's nature, believe in the fact that he's a good father and he's not going to lead you astray. And I feel like if I had done that earlier in my life, because I feel like I am embracing that more and more now, but if I had done that earlier in my life, then things maybe would have turned out, maybe I would have been further by now, right? Maybe I would have, saved myself a lot of the back and forth and walking around in circles by just obeying God the first time round. Also, I think I would have saved myself a lot of headache and a lot of insecurity that came with just not trusting God in the first place. I feel like even when you are doing something for God half-heartedly, or you feel like, you're not really fully convinced that God's got your back, you end up stressed and anxious. And I think for me, if I had just had full confidence that God is going to do what he said he'd do. God cares about you, and there is probably such a bigger picture to this than you can even see. I would have been a lot more at peace with a lot of the things that I found myself doing in my 20s. I think I would have had that Godfidence, as they talk about, like confidence in God that he was backing me and that he was with me. And so I wouldn't have to have worried so much. So that was tip number 1. Major life lesson number 2, and this one is actually to do with family. You do not need an apology to heal. Whew. I feel like I spent a lot of my 20s, I'm gonna just be real, resenting some people and really holding past, sins, transgressions, oversights on some people and over some people. And as I've gotten older, I've realized, girl, your healing is your responsibility. And 2, you don't need somebody to apologize or to some degree even notice their wrongs in order for you to heal or in order for you to go on that journey. Would an apology be nice? Absolutely. Would it be lovely if, certain people in your life who are still in your life could come and be like, you know what, I shouldn't have done that to you? It would have been amazing. But if you don't get it, at the end of the day, this is your life, right? And the choices that you make determine how the story goes. And I think I've realized as I've gotten older that life is going to throw you some plot twists. In the book of your life, life is going to throw you some plot twist. It's your choices and your decisions that determine how the story ends, though. And I think what I'm seeing as I've been on my healing journey, as I've gone to therapy, as I've had, conversations, read books, done all of these things, explored and done some more soul searching, I've realized that actually what holds us back from healing a lot of the times is just not letting things go because we're waiting for an apology or we're waiting for that person to see the wrong in their past ways, especially when it's like people really, really close to you. And sometimes it's really hard to let go of that kind of sadness and pain that turns into bitterness. But bitterness only makes your life bitter. It doesn't really do anything for the people. Sometimes those people are not even in your life anymore, or even if they are not close enough to even be affected by your bitterness. Bitterness only makes your life bitter. And I want to live a sweet life. Your girl wants to live a sweet, sweet, sweet life, okay? And so I've realized for myself, stop hanging on to somebody apologizing. Stop holding on to somebody else's repentance before you forgive. Forgive, like just give it away. And I think after doing that, I've realized how much lighter I feel. And it doesn't mean I don't get to have boundaries. It doesn't mean that we have to reconcile. It doesn't mean things have to go back to normal. It actually just means that I get to let this heaviness go. I get to let this part of my story be closed to some degree. And it's always still a part of my story, but we've moved on to another chapter at this point. And so I can't keep dragging, those plot twists throughout the whole book. It was a moment. Now we move. Since we've just been talking about family, actually, I'll talk about friendships. The biggest life lesson I've learned about friendships is pick your battles wisely. I think that friendships and just generally relationship building, whether it be professional, acquaintances, even romantic relationship to some degree, it's all about wisdom. Wisdom is the principal thing. If you're trying to do life with people, you need wisdom. And the reason why I say that is people are crazy. We are all walking with a degree of madness. I know in many, many, many relationships I have with people, I have moved mad. I haven't communicated. I've gone into hiding. I've ghosted. I've been unreasonable. I've been dramatic. I've done so many things wrong. I know that all of us as human beings, we have our flaws. And sometimes that causes us to do things which we shouldn't really do, or that make relationships tough and complicated. But one thing I've realized about these things, especially friendships, is you have to let things go. As I'm getting older and older, I'm realizing that not everything is worth fighting over. Some people are worth fighting for, and that means that you have to let some things go. Not everything is worth bringing back up. Not everything is worth dragging back through the mud. Not everything is worth picking a fight over. Yes, things should be addressed, but there's also a wisdom and a maturity that you need to address things with. And I think as I've gotten older and I've sustained certain relationships, key relationships in my life, and I've seen their benefits, I've seen their beauty, if I zoomed into them, I would see that there were a lot of things in there that we could have picked on and be like, oh, you didn't do this or you did that, but actually that would not have been beneficial. I know this may sound sinister, but please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I feel like sometimes when you are persevering on the journey of love and friendship, sometimes you have to choose to just turn a blind eye and be a fool to certain things, right? Not abuse, and not consistent crossing of boundaries, not feeling unsafe, but just certain things that's like, I didn't like the way you did that, or when you did this, I read into it like this. Actually, sometimes when you take a step away and you self-regulate, and I think this is where the wisdom and the maturity comes into it, when certain things happen that may have rubbed you the wrong way, that you can take a step back and be like, let me self-regulate here. Is this me just reading too much into it? Is this something that needs to be addressed? What was this person's intention? And I think approaching things with certain maturity allows you to know that, like, actually I can let that go because they probably didn't mean this, when they did this. And I think it's, yes, giving people the benefit of the doubt, but also just maintaining the peace to some degree. Now, you guys know me, I am very disruptive. I am happy to be a rebellious person. I am happy to address the elephant in the room if it's going to be for the greater good, of course. However, I have found that some things are not for the greater good. They are just for me to be able to say, I told you so, or have the upper hand. But sometimes that could be at the cost of a very good relationship that just has some human parts to it. So I'm not saying entertain dysfunction, but I am saying pick your battles wisely. Like, actually do things with wisdom, because if you don't, it could cost you more than it's actually worth. And since we're talking about relationships anyway, let's just crown it all off by talking about dating. You guys already know last year my tune was standard, standard, standard. And honestly, if there's one major lesson I've learned from my 20s, from having discussions with other women, from dating a bit here and there, it's your standards are worth maintaining. Do not waste your time. Do not waste your time. I feel like, especially as I'm approaching my late 20s, you know, your girl's getting mature or whatever, she's growing. I am realizing just how much people will feed you the narrative of like time is running out. But actually, what really wastes time is being in the wrong relationship with the wrong person. I'm gonna tell you that for free. Being in the wrong relationship with the wrong person will waste your time, it will waste your energy, it will waste your youth, it will waste your beauty, it will waste your exuberance, it will waste your mind, it will waste everything. Don't even waste your time. Your standards are important. We recently did a TMS episode, it literally came out yesterday, on boundaries and how important boundaries are to our safety and our happiness. And I've realized for myself, to some degree in the most selfish way, that some things are not worth disturbing your peace over just so that you can keep up with other people's deadlines or other people's fears or what other people think is best. Like, you're not living your life for other people, and you're also not living just to make everybody comfortable at the expense of yourself if that's not what God has called you to. And I find that sometimes we try to help God by doing things and just seeing what can we settle for, what is the bare minimum that we need. And I don't want to live a bare minimum life. And I don't want to be with a bare minimum bum. I said it. So I think overall, what I have realized for myself is your standards are worth maintaining. God's standards are worth maintaining, especially even when dating. Like, not even to just focus on your partner, but even for yourself. Like, for me personally, the standards and the boundaries that I have set for myself within a romantic relationship are actually worth keeping, because it's the way that God keeps me safe and the way He, you know, I can spiritually protect myself to some degree. And so, yeah, man, don't be out here compromising, because I hate it. I hate that women in their 20s are being fed this lie that is making them so scared, right? Like, I think we have to recognize that there are realities and then there are devices of the enemy. Okay, and fear is a big, big, big one. Yes, your reality is your reality, but your reality doesn't necessarily need to bring a fear that will make you make a rash lifetime decision or life-changing decision out of panic, right? And I don't want to be panicking through my 20s. I don't want to be panicking through my 30s. I don't want to be panicking full stop. My body doesn't like stress. I don't need it. And so I'm learning for myself, don't settle, don't compromise. Like, maintain the standard, maintain God's standard, maintain your standards. You can reevaluate, you can reassess, you know, but girl, just because the bar is in hell doesn't mean you need to go down there to meet it, you know? So we're about halfway through this list. Let me know how you're feeling about it. Drop a comment or give this video a thumbs up if you're liking it. Just hit the like button. You already know the deal on YouTube. I don't have to tell you twice. Now, a big life lesson that I have learned in my 20s. This health thing is not a joke. It is not a joke. And I would honestly be able to sit here and say that is one of the things I got wrong. I wish I had prioritized just taking care of my health a lot earlier in my 20s. Like, just getting into that rhythm, not because it's too late now, but I think I'm to some degree really set in my ways to the point where I'm having to work extra hard to some degree to break certain habits or to implement new ones, I'd say. I heard a quote from my friend said, it's not a quote from her, I am quoting her. My friends, I saw a video. Is everything all right? This morning, I saw a video from my friend Adesi on TikTok, and she was saying that
if someone tells you that they're struggling with consistency, they're lying. We are all consistent. It's because some of us are consistent with good habits and some of us are consistent with bad habits.
And it's true. I'm consistent in my bad ways and I need deliverance, okay? And I'm on that journey now, and I hope to share that journey with you more in like vlogs and stuff that I'm doing to get myself together in my 20s, child. But honestly, I just wish that I had taken my health a lot more seriously. And I'm not just talking about my aesthetics, I'm talking about like my actual health, like cardiovascular health, my hormonal health, my actual like menstrual health. I wish I had taken all of these things so much more seriously, really made sure that I was taking care of like stress and learning my body, learning my skin, learning what works for me, what doesn't, learning what diet I needed and what I should be eating and what I shouldn't be eating. Like, girl, you know you are lactose intolerant. Why are you still feeding your body dairy and you don't think it's gonna retaliate? So things like this make me think, I should have listened to my mama. I should have listened to my mother. Now, let's not lie. You know, a lot of aunties try to use shame as a device to get us to act right. But nestled in there somewhere at its core was this message. You need to take your health seriously, especially as a young lady. And so I just wish I had done that. And now I'm on that journey, don't get me wrong. I just wish I had done it earlier, you know? We're nearing the end of my list, but my penultimate point, stay around for the last one, is you need to save and invest. Whenever anyone asks me, what is your advice for ladies like in their 20s, I always say this. When I think about how much money I've made, you guys know I'm an entrepreneur. I have ran multiple companies. I've been experimenting with my career. I have a portfolio career, essentially. I can work on different contracts as well as having my own online platforms, and I run a business with my best friend. As I have been experimenting, things have been working and your girl's been making money. I shared with you guys back in like 2021, 2022 that, you know, I made my first 6 figures at 23. You guys saw that process of me building my hair company and your girl was making bags. When I think about how much money has passed through this hand, I just think enquiries is dumb. Like, it's just foolishness. And the reason why is I didn't have that mentality of like save and invest, babe. Like, money ain't easy to come by. Okay, well, actually, do I believe in that? Yes and no. You know, money is, you work for money, you know, and when you get money, it is a blessing, and it is a blessing that you must steward well. And so I just wish I was better at my stewardship. I wish I had been better at laying the financial foundations I needed for my future, because I feel like by now, guys, I could have like invested in a property or done something, but because, you know, I was spending or I was risking or I was experimenting here and there, I didn't. And I know that there is no point lamenting and, oh my gosh, my regrets, and I would have done this and I could have done this. But I'm just saying this for the benefit of maybe a lady watching who could get her life together, and all of us can. Like, I can get my life together right now, and I am. But I just wish I had known this information when I could. You guys already know. I wish I had known this information at an earlier stage in my life. And I really think your 20s really are the foundation that you build for your 30s and your 40s. And I'm just thinking, and I'm regretting how much I wasted, right? And I'm not regretting the money that taught me something, even if it was at a quote unquote loss. I still learned something, but there's a lot of wasteful things like clothes. At the end of last year, I decided to like clear out my wardrobe. And so when I think about all the clothes that I bought that I no longer have, it's like, that's all money sitting there in fabric form, like get it together kind of vibe. And so I just wish I had gotten it together a lot earlier. And the last thing that I would say on a much brighter note is the risks that I took for my career have paid off. I feel like my whole journey has been me kind of going against the grain. You guys know I went to a really traditional institution. I have a bachelor's and a master's degree actually from the University of Cambridge, if you're new around here. And it's one of my greatest accomplishments. But as you can imagine, in that kind of institution, people go down very traditional routes when it comes down to work and career. And I didn't do that. And I spent a lot of my 20s insecure about that, insecure about the fact that my journey was a lot, you know, considered non-traditional compared to most. I was in e-commerce, I was in beauty, I was now in, you know, content creation. Those were all very new industries, as well as just like I said, non-traditional industry routes for me to go down as somebody with my academic background. And I just wish I had had more confidence in the fact that, no, girl, you're taking a risk, absolutely. And I spent most of my early 20s scared as heck, as I've just described. However, as I look now at 27 years old, 6 years into my career, those things paid off. Like, let me testify, your girl is an author. I am, my own boss, as they say. I have done really impactful things in my career. Currently helping to build a school in Ghana, running an amazing sisterhood community. I get to travel the world for work. Like, this is crazy to me, and it is a privilege to be able to have, but it wouldn't have happened. My life wouldn't have been like this if it wasn't for the initial leap that I took at 21. And so I just would affirm myself that if, I guess it all goes full circle to that first point, if God is telling you to do something, even if it looks like the biggest risk ever, and some people may consider the choice I made not a big risk at all, but to me, from my background, having to tell my single mother, my immigrant mother, West African mother, that my Cambridge degree was not really going to be at use, explicitly, and that I was going to start a hair company at 21 post-graduation, was a risk. It was a big risk, taking all of my savings without having bank of mum and dad and putting them into buying, hair extensions was a risk. And saying no to my grad job offer was a risk, but it actually all paid off. And so I just wish I could go back and tell her, stand 10 toes down on this. God has really got your back. My 20s have been beautiful by the grace of God. They have been above what I ever could have imagined. Like, that scripture that says, God can do exceedingly abundantly above all that we can ask, think, or imagine. I feel like my life has been a testimony of that, especially in my 20s. And so, yeah, I pray the same for you. I pray that you see God succeeding abundantly and above. And I hope that these tips have actually been helpful. Share this video with anyone who you think, could benefit from it. Share it with a sister, a daughter, a friend. I hope that it's helpful. I hope it's even blessed you. I'm going to go about my 27-year-old day today. Let me know if you would want more videos like this and what videos I can actually bring to you. I love you all so much. Go and check out this week's newest episode of Be Encouraged if you haven't already. I will talk to you all very, very soon. And as always, stay beautiful and stay blessed. Mwah.